We're live. Uh, us are live. Us too.
Oh,
Skeleton
geez.
crew. Skeleton crew this week on this episode, which we got another one on Thursday coming out. Everybody should be there for that. But got a skeleton crew. Bryce and Chase couldn't make it with us for this episode, and Beerich is only here on Thursday, so that leaves me and Kendall. Kendall, are you excited?
Oh, I'm very excited. It's the OG squad minus Brandon.
Nice, Brandon. All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about on this episode. I think the first thing that me and you want to talk about specifically, I don't know how long we'd talk about it if other people were on, but Derek Carr to the Saints. And if you obviously don't understand how that impacts us, there's a Raiders flag behind Kendall's head there, and I'm a Saints fan, so there's all you need to know. 4 years, $150 million, $100 million guaranteed. Some people question the contract numbers a little bit, but for me, after the Deshaun contract last year and last offseason, I felt like every quarterback contract from here on out, you're going to see a pretty inflated price. And you see that with Geno Smith, who just signed today, too. He's 3 years, 120, 130 million or something like that. He's 60 million guaranteed. So he has more guaranteed, or he has almost as much guaranteed. He's only 40 million guaranteed less than Derek.
And Daniel Jones is commanding over 40.
Yeah, and Lamar's looking for 200 mil guaranteed. I mean, so these quarterback contracts are going to be larger and larger until someone breaks Deshaun, which I think really there's only a couple quarterbacks currently in the NFL that could probably pull that off. Joe Burrow could potentially pass Patrick Mahomes, but his franchise is the one to spend the money, I don't think. And then Josh Allen. And then in a couple years, you never know who might come up and demand that much money. You got to have a lot of balls, or you got to play really well to get that much money. So, other than that, I'm as from a Saints fan perspective, up until this morning, I thought we were kind of fucked in the situation. I didn't think we were going to get him. I thought he was going to go to the Jets. It kind of all came together really fast from this morning, and then like 30 minutes later, he was signed, or he'd agreed to terms. So I guess the Saints had been higher on his list than the media had portrayed, which for me is great. I like having a solid, consistent quarterback now, which we haven't had since Drew Brees retired. So that's nice to have. Even with Teddy, even with Jameis's first year and Andy last year, it's just everyone's been hurt or it's been benched, and it's been a QB carousel since Drew retired, and I think this finally stamps us, as long as he stays healthy, that he's the guy, and there's no doubt about it. I think, as you can attest to, his season this last year was not very good, so a lot of people are going to look at it and be like, what have you done for me lately attitude, and they're going to think he's ass. But I think me and you both agree with the fact that Derek Carr is much better than he had portrayed this last season. And going into next season, I'm hoping he proves a lot of people wrong. Goes out there and really slings the ball. Because I think the one thing from last year that's going to change is, we're really going to start hammering in the passing game now since we have that guy. Because last year we had to rely on the running game a little bit just because Andy Dalton's somewhat limited. He's Andy Dalton. What you see is what you get with him. So,
yeah.
How does it feel for you to see the guy for the last 9 years in Oakland, now Las Vegas, move on to greener pastures, hopefully?
I'm happy for him. I know we had a lot of expectations heading into the season, but when you have a good offensive roster with no defense and a piss-poor coaching staff, that's what's going to happen. And I'm just going to be as straightforward as I can. Derek Carr thrives whenever he can get to the line of scrimmage, see the defense, get people in the right spots, and call his own play, like adjust, audible, whatever. Josh McDaniels all last season never gave him that reign at all. Like with Carr and Gruden, after 1 year, it clicked. It was like orchestra. Like they were on the same page. Get up to the line, see the defense, adjust what you need to, boom, boom, boom. We were one of the best offenses in the league without Devontae Adams. Then we bring Devontae in, and it's like Josh McDaniels gave Carr no freedom to change any plays. It was either going to be a run with Jacobs or a play action to Devontae. That was our entire offense. So when you're that limited, yes, your quarterback can have a down year who likes to – he has a top 5 mind in the NFL, and I don't think there's any question about it. If you go back to the COVID season where you could hear the people audibling and stuff because there's no crowd, it is insane how many times he would audible, check, whatever, tell people to motion. It's absolutely insane how many times I've seen him do that. And so I'm glad he's going to the NFC, the weaker conference, especially the South, because that's the worst division of football, in my opinion. And I think that y'all are going to run through that division. I really do. And it's going to be nice seeing Derek Carr with a top 10 points allowed defense over the last 3 years with the Saints, because in his 9 years with the Raiders, they were dead last. So he's never had a defense. His highest ranked defense he's ever had was 2016, where he went 12-4 right before breaking his leg, and his defensive ranked 25th in the league. So you give him a good defense, and I hate to see what the dude can do. And not really hate to see it. I'm going to love to see it. I'm going to love to see this year the Saints win that division, win a few playoff games, hopefully make a good run, and really stick it to those people who just kind of like to live in the moment and just live in just one season thing, because he has all the talent in the world as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, for me, it gives me a new boost to watch the Saints again. It got tough after Drew left, just because with Michael Thomas constantly injured, and I've never been the biggest Alvin Kamara fan. He's a fantastic player. He's not someone that I'm just like, hell yeah, Alvin, that's our guy. So it's been hard to not have that favorite player like I had when Drew played. Because when Drew Brees played, that was my favorite player. No doubt about it. I'd die on any hill to defend him. That was the guy. And I feel like with Derek now, I have that player again, because I've liked Derek Carr since he's a Raider, because my stepdad's a Raiders fan, so I've watched Derek Carr since the rip, So I've always been a fan of what he's done. And I think we have one of the best locker rooms now in all of football. Because one of the big things was, the leadership people that you see on the Saints team, like Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, they're all on the defensive side of the ball. Because unless you got Jameis up there saying some bullshit about eating W's or whatever the fuck he says, love him to death, but he's just goofy. But having this serious, intense, passionate quarterback to lead the offense, combined with Cam Jordan, who's been with the team now for 10 plus years, Demario Davis has become one of the best players in recent Saints history, especially at linebacker, a position we tend to struggle at. There's a lot of fantastic leadership in that locker room, which I think will attract people to it. Because there will, a lot of these free agents, they want to play with, they want to compete, they want to be in a good situation, and they want to be in a place where the locker room's sound. And I think, other than New Orleans being the murder capital of the U.S. right now, a great place to be. But great food, great fans, great stadium, teams always competing. We're in one of the worst divisions in football, which gives us an opportunity. Derek Carr, no team in the NFC South currently up until today had a solid starter guaranteed. Tampa Bay doesn't have a starter yet. Atlanta doesn't technically. Desmond Ritter's their starter, I guess. And then the Panthers are kind of wishy-washy too. We don't know who they're going to draft. But I think for the Raiders, with Geno re-signing today as well, you guys, not to say that y'all were in on Geno, I don't think you ever were, but the quarterback market kind of now becomes a lot thinner with Derek going. And there's some teams that are looking at Aaron Rodgers. The Raiders apparently are linked as one of them. if he decides to demand a trade or wants to leave, because it seems like the Packers are very much interested in that. So they've made it sound very clear that they're willing to move on if that's the case. I think the Raiders now have a really unique opportunity in the draft to draft, hopefully they draft the guy that will lead them in the future. Hopefully not another Jamarcus Russell situation. But I saw something saying just a couple hours ago saying that the Raiders are high on Anthony Richardson over Will Levis. Because I think everyone kind of agrees that Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud are kind of the top two off the board, and then everybody else is competing for those last two guys. And then honestly, there's a major drop off after that. Unless there's like a Brock Purdy kind of guy that comes out of the late rounds that wasn't expected to be good and is good, there's only 4 serviceable quarterbacks projected in this draft. So if you had your choice, would you want Will Levis or Anthony Richardson?
I would personally rather take a chance, in my opinion, on a higher ceiling with Will Levis, and I've kind of touched on you about that. I think he has a higher NFL ceiling because he has a cannon, and if you remember Josh Allen, whenever he came into the league, he had an absolute cannon, and he couldn't control it, and I think Will Levis shows a lot of similarities to that. So I think if you move on from DC, a consistent, good quarterback, then you either have to go trade for Aaron Rodgers or you have to take a chance on the C.J. Stroud or Will Levis, one of those two, because I think they have the 2 highest ceilings. And if they bust, they bust. If they work out, then again, I think they could potentially both be good in the NFL. So, yeah. In my ideal world, I think I would. If we don't trade for Aaron Rodgers, if we had to get a rookie, I would prefer us to trade up to get Stroud. But if we stayed put at 7, I would want to have Will Levis. But if we take Anthony Richardson, obviously I'm a Raiders fan. I'm going to support him. I'm going to back him up, root for him. Hope he turns out great. But I think Will Levis, with that arm strength, as you see in the NFL nowadays, with Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow, people like that, Rodgers still, they're gunslingers. They sling the ball. They can push it downfield. And Will Levis has that kind of arm. He's just got to learn how to control it. So I think that's who I'd prefer. And one more thing about Derek Carr. He structured his contract to where he got $60 million whenever he signed that piece of paper today to help the Saints cap, because as a signing bonus, that doesn't go towards the cap.
Yep.
So that was brilliant by them, by the Saints. And then the last 2 years, years 3 and 4, he's only a $10 million cap hit his last 2 years.
A lot of his money's in incentives.
Yeah, a lot of his money's incentives and signing bonuses. So whenever you look at that, that's a freaking bargain for only $10 million cap hit for Derek Carr. That's a great contract.
Yeah, and that's to commend Mickey Loomis. I think Mickey Loomis is easily guaranteed the best cap managing general manager in all NFL. Because for the last 3 years, we've been in the worst cap situations coming out of the season, and we've always found ways to get out of that season and make moves. We've made moves to sign Jameis. That didn't work out. We've signed Marcus May. We've signed Tyrann Mathieu. We've extended guys as well. That takes cap room too. But the deals that we are making, we're pushing that money back. We've already restructured a couple contracts. There's still some more to come. We've only restructured 2 contracts. I think it was Taysom and forget the other one. It might have been Cameron Jordan. Were the 2. I know they're wanting to cut Jameis, but based on when we do that, if we cut him before June 1st, it's only a $4 million cap. We only get $4 million in the cap extra, but we do have a $10 million dead cap on him. But if we cut him after June 1st, we get $12 million. I know they're wanting to potentially cut Andres Pete, which is a huge cap. That gives us like $12-13 million in cap. Demario Davis apparently is supposed to get restructured. And a couple other guys like Ryan Ramczyk, who just signed a mega deal at right tackle. They're supposed to restructure his deal too, pushing money back. So it's going to bite us in the ass eventually. I don't know how we're going to put 53 players on the field, but for now it works. And going back to Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, well, the crazy thing to think about is there is a possible world where you guys at 7, right?
Yeah.
You're drafting at 7.
Yeah.
Those top 4 could be off the board by 7.
I know. They could be. Anthony Richardson's stock is skyrocketing. And then Will Levis threw the ball at a higher miles per hour at his combine than Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, like all of them did. So I'm sure his stock's going to skyrocket too.
Because this mock draft I'm looking at, I just looked at it just to see the draft order. They have you guys trading to the number 1 pick to get Bryce Young. But let's say that doesn't happen. Texans are taking a QB. Colts are taking a QB. Lions are probably taking a QB potentially. I don't know. They might want to stick with Jared Goff. They might want to draft their guy for the future.
They'll probably stick with Goff that high. They may take like Hendon Hooker or something, 2nd or 3rd round.
There's also teams sitting outside of 7, like Carolina at 9, that might trade up. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think if we don't get Aaron Rodgers by the draft, you will see the Raiders trade up. I do believe that.
And hopefully it works out either way. But let's get into the main reason we're here. So we got 2 things to talk about today. 1, AL Central preview. And then 2, me and Kendall are going to start it. And we'll get the other guys' picks. And we'll be keeping a tally board of all the WBC games. And we'll be seeing who predicts the most correctly. So we're going to be predicting all the WBC games between now and Saturday. And then on Thursday, when we record again, we'll do the next grouping of games until we record again on Monday. So I think we should go ahead and start with the AL Central. Kendall, if you want to share your screen and pull those up. AL Central is a interesting division. For me, you got teams like Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit, who's pretty young. Who am I missing?
Guardians,
Cleveland,
Twins, White Sox, Royals, Tigers.
Yep. So Royals, they're kind of. Let's just start with the Royals. The Royals are probably going to be one of the bottom 2 teams in this division. They are young. Bobby Witt Jr. is obviously their stud. Brady Singer is also decent.
Having technical difficulties.
It's all good.
All right, here we go.
There we go. So if you haven't seen this before, this is Fangraphs Resource Tracker. It tracks their projected starting lineup, pitching rotation, their full 26-man roster. So once this loads, we'll be able to see who they think. So if you're a fan of one of these teams and you don't see a guy that you think should be on there, there's a very good chance that Fangraphs is just looking over any kind of media line that is pushing one player over another. I know with the Yankees, they have a couple guys potentially who I personally would bet on being in the 26-man that Fangraphs doesn't. So,
it ain't loading.
It ain't loading.
Hold on, let me there we go. I had it on the wrong tab, I think. Oh, where? Opening day tracker. There we go. Boom.
There we go. Awesome. Okay, so you look at this team for me. Some names to look out for if you're not a Royals fan. Obviously, you got Vinny Pasquantino, who's their first base prospect that they called up, I think, towards the end of last year. Supposed to be a big slugger guy. Bobby Witt, obviously, at 22. But it's still crazy that he's only 22 years old. MJ Melendez at 24. He's supposed to be one of their top guys. The fact that MJ Melendez at 24 years old is projected to be their starting DH is insane to me. But I will say neither him or Salvi are the best defensive catcher in comparison to other catchers in the league. They're not very defensively sound.
No.
I still would switch them. The fact that Salvador Perez is only 32, I feel like he's like 40 years old. I feel like he's been playing in the MLB for 20 years at this point.
It seems like he's been around forever.
But he apparently hasn't been that far. Guys like Hunter Dozier, Nate Eaton, Kyle Isbell, Framil Reyes, just some below average players.
Jordan Lyles,
washed up Zach Greinke, still solid, but not nearly as good as he used to be. Brady Singer, which, he's been in the league now 2 years. There's a lot of experience right here in the middle of this rotation at 11 years of service time and 18. But I think Jordan Lyles is one of the worst starting pitchers in all of baseball, potentially. So that's not awesome to have.
Got to experience that firsthand last year.
Yeah, and what's crazy to think here is if you look at it, they got Nicky Lopez on the bench. They also have another catcher on the bench, too, Freddie Furman. Never heard of this guy, but the fact that he's on the bench, they have 3 catchers, essentially, which MJ can play the outfield, corner outfield spots.
Yeah, that Freddie guy's got to be like a defensive catcher or something.
Yeah. I mean, considering the fact I think he only has 90 plate appearances. And then the bullpen. The bullpen, in some aspects, if this was a little bit earlier on, if this was a couple years ago, Scott Barlow is not bad. Aroldis Chapman used to be great. Not very good anymore. That's why he's playing on the Royals. Amir Garrett used to be pretty good. Not anymore. But Nick Prado, Kendall, I think you remember him from the MLB show Prospect Cards.
I remember Nick Prado, yeah.
Yeah, I could see him potentially getting put in the lineup. If he has a good spring, I haven't seen his numbers. But I think you'd agree here that this team is just a long ways away from being competitive.
Absolutely. I got him going 70 and 92, which would be 4th in the division. I like Bobby Witt a lot. I think he's got unlimited potential. I do think he's a 30-30 candidate every single year going forward. He does have that pop speed combo that people are looking for nowadays. Vinny has high expectations. I've been seeing a lot of people on TikTok saying that he's going to be like top. They think that he's going to be a top 5 first baseman after this year. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's the kind of potential and expectations he has heading into this season. So it'll be interesting to see if he can live up to that. Salvi, I agree with you. I'd switch him, let MJ Melendez develop as a defending catcher and see if he can get better at it. Let Salvi just DH. He's getting older. He's not very good at catching either. Other than that, this team isn't that good. Brady Singer's all right. He shouldn't be an ace, but he's solid. Greinke, I guess, is giving it one last run. I hope this is his last year. Jordan Lyles is ass. Aroldis Chapman's turned into ass. Felt like every time the Yankees finally got him back off the IL last year, he'd get shelled and then go right back to the IL. So, I think the one thing that the Royals and Tigers both can look forward to is Amir Garrett and Javier Baez are still in the same division, so that they may get a chance to face each other again down the road, which will lead into the next team in this division, the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, and what kind of sucks is, too, as you go ahead and move on to the next screen, is just with Bobby Witt and Vinny, and, unless there's some top prospects on the way, they're kind of stuck in a weird predicament. And there's a very good potential for Royals fans that after, 5 years, 6 years service time before you can hit free agency?
Something like that, yeah. I think it's 5.
Bobby Witt might be fucking gone.
Yeah.
Very well could. But moving on to the division rival, Detroit Tigers. This team has a lot of younger pieces than it had. Riley Green's very young. Spencer Torkelson is one of those guys that It's supposed to be one of their top guys coming into the season. Hopefully, he develops out. Guys like Kerry Carpenter, who's pretty young, Tyler Nevin. It's really just their pitching staff is not going to be what it needs to be to compete in this division. There's a lot of great bats in Chicago and Minnesota and in Cleveland especially. And this pitching rotation, when Eduardo Rodriguez is your ace, or Matthew Boyd, I mean, you can argue. Not great. Michael Lorenzen, he's not to me, him starting is just kind of pointless. I feel like he's a lot better in the pen than he is as a starter. Matt Manning, coming in his second full year, and then Spencer Turnbull. So this team is just it's like the Royals, man. It's just like the Royals. They're in a really weird position in this. They don't really have a sense of direction right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Javi Baez contract they gave him a couple years ago is gonna, if it hasn't already, it definitely will fall out to be one of the worst free agent contracts ever. He has completely been on the downside of his career since going to them. He's been, we all know who Javi's been his whole career. Anything anywhere near the strike zone, he's going to swing out of his shoes. But ever since he's gotten to the Tigers, it's like curveball in the dirt. He's hacking as if it's a high and inside four seam, and he's way out in front, and he just looks stupid. And his defense has gotten worse. So it's like
he realizes he has to hit the ball out of the ballpark because this team can't score runs.
Yeah, exactly. He tries to do it every single pitch. Riley Green, I do like Riley Green. He has good amount of potential. He can hit the ball. Jonathan Scope used to be one of my favorite players, but he's getting a little older. He's still got a little bit of pop in him. Spencer Torkelson had a disappointing rookie year last year, but he could very easily turn around and live up to his expectations. But other than that, Akil Badu's been a letdown. Austin Meadows hasn't done much with them. I think he just went there, right? Yeah. So he didn't do much last year either, but he still got left-handed pop. Miggy's old. They got Tyler Nevin from the Orioles. That's how desperate they are.
Eric Moss is the fucking nobody.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the Tigers and Royals will be the two worst teams in this division for at least the next 5 years. And the only people I really feel bad for is Bobby Witt and Riley Green because they have a lot of potential. But, this team's not good. I haven't finished in last 68-94, right behind the Royals.
Here's my thing that I just want to talk about. So I was looking up Miguel Cabrera's career hit total because I forgot he broke 3,000.
Yeah.
Miggy's broke 3,000 hits. He's over 500 home runs. Why the fuck are you still playing?
It looks like he'll be 40 before the season starts. His age is 39.9.
You've hit the milestones that every long-term star wants to hit. The 500 home run mark or the 3,000 hit mark. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's guaranteed. He has 3,000 hits. He has 500 home runs. Never won a World. He's won a World Series too. He was really young when he won it, but I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion.
I do too. He's got a World Series. He's got MVPs, Triple Crown, 3,000 hits. So,
what is your point? Why are you playing still? Why not just ride off into the sunset?
I don't know, man. I wish I had an edge for you, but I don't.
Maybe he just doesn't want to go home. Maybe he likes playing too much. He doesn't want to, live the slow life.
Does that have something to do with maybe he had to play one more year in order to play in the World Baseball Classic one more time? Is that a thing?
Maybe. It might be. Maybe he wants to sit there and, maybe they asked him to stay so he could mentor Spencer a little bit more.
Probably. Yeah, that definitely has something to do with it because Spencer struggled last year.
But moving on to a team that had a veteran first baseman but lost him, the Chicago White Sox. Obviously, if you don't know, Jose Abreu is now for the Astros. Talked about him a couple episodes ago. So they have Andrew Vaughn playing first base in replacement of him now. Eloy Jimenez at DH, Luis Robert at center, Andrew Benintendi picked up at left, and Gavin Sheets in right. They have a lot of solid outfield options. Even though Reed Garcia can play the outfield. I don't like Gavin Sheets. He's a defensive liability out there. Yasmani Grandal. This team is, Elvis Andrus. I didn't know he played for the White Sox. Now that's pretty cool. Their pitching is going to be solid. Lynn, Giolito, Clevy, which I'm guessing Clevy's getting to play now after that whole debacle with his wife and kid or whatever happened. What didn't happen, I don't know. Not going to speak on that.
Yeah.
And then Michael Kopech, who's solid. They got a good team. Kendall Graveman, Aaron Bummer, Joe Kelly, Jake Dykman. There's solid pitching depth in the squad. I think the whole thing last year was just everybody was hurt. No one could hit, and their defense was god-awful. Because I remember the Yankees playing the White Sox mid-season last year, and the defense for the White Sox killed them on there were multiple errors.
Yeah.
So, and I think picking up someone like Elvis Andrus, who's solid defensively, and can hit the ball a little bit, that's going to be good. So, Yohan Moncada is going to be probably one of the stars of that team. Hopefully he has another breakout year. And then obviously Tim Anderson. That's the guy.
When he's on the field.
Tim Anderson. What? When he's on the field. That's a big alarming trend about the AL Central is everybody's star. They're great when that star's on the field.
Mm-hmm.
There's even someone like Jose Ramirez, who we'll talk about in a minute, has had some injury trouble. And then obviously Byron Buxton in Minnesota. But Kendall, they got a guy named Kendall on their team, so you got to be pretty high on them, right?
I was really high on them last year. I don't know if you remember or not. You probably don't, but this was my World Series team last year. Heading into last year, this was my team pick to win the World Series. And like you said, they couldn't stay healthy, and they had a disappointing year. But with that being said, I still like this roster. Cease, Lynn, Giolito, Kopech, Clevenger. That's a good rotation. I think Giolito is due up for a year that will either he finally breaks out or it's going to turn out to where he's like, okay, is this guy as good as his hype was whenever he came up? Something like that. But I think he can do it. I think he can have a good year. And Cease is one of the best pitchers in the league. He had a great year last year. Lance Lynn is an inning eater. I like Michael Kopech a lot. I think he's very good. He's a young guy with gas. He throws really hard. So I like their pitching staff a lot. And then you have Tim Anderson, who I like. I know you don't, but I like him because of the reason that you don't like him. So
yeah.
Yohan Moncada, he's pretty solid. Hopefully he can get better, like you said again. Luis Robert, he's so talented. I wish he could stay on the field because if he stays on the field, he's another slept-on player who has 30-30 potential. He's got speed, pop. He just cannot stay in center field to save his life.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy baseball last year, and he was always fucking hurt.
Yeah, he's great. He's great when he plays. He just can't stay on the field. So I like this team, but because I picked them to win the World Series last year and they let me down, I've got them going 81-81, tied for second. I've also got another team going 81-81 that we'll touch in a minute.
So I've got them being, would that be? Minnesota?
That'd be the Minnesota Twins. I've got them both going 81-81.
Let's go to Minnesota then. So, Minnesota, the team where Carlos Correa returns. And as a Minnesota Twins fan, you got to be kind of conflicted considering the fact that he tried to go to two other teams before coming back to the Twins. So obviously the Twins are not where he wanted to be.
Correa played for half the league in one offseason.
Yeah. This team has, on paper, a solid lineup. Roy Polanco, Jose Miranda, Byron Buxton, Correa, Kepler, Christian Vasquez, Joey Gallo if he can hit the ball. They've already started to fuck with him with the shifting stuff, bringing that outfielder over to second base. So I think Joey Gallo's going to hate his life for another year until they ban that shit somehow.
Yep.
Nick Gordon's supposed to be a solid player for them this year. Donovan Solano, might not know a lot about him, but he hits over 300 almost every year. So he is in the high 200s, 300. He's a high contact guy. But the pitching rotation, compared to recent years, is up, I think, if they can stay healthy. Number one question with this pitching rotation, it's always been that. Kenta Maeda's number one question has always been, can he stay on the field? Sonny Gray's the same way. And then you got the two new guys with Pablo Lopez and Tyler Mahle, so hopefully they don't get like the Minnesota injury curse. Because between Maeda, Sonny Gray, and Buxton, there's something in the water up there because they're always fucking hurt. They got Jorge Lopez, former Oriole.
That was legend.
Johan Duran. So we'll see what their bullpen looks like. Those two guys will be solid for them. So at least you got your 8-9 guy. Now you just got to get there. But I think with your 81 and 81 prediction, when I look at this lineup, I would agree. It's a very basic, run-of-the-mill, average team with star potential. But their injuries is their number one issue.
Yeah. They have potential to win the division. It's just whether or not that they're going to stay on the field and do it or not. And it starts with Byron Buxton. I mean, it seems like 1 week he'll be healthy. He'll hit 4 bombs in a week. You won't hear him for 2 weeks. Then he'll get hurt, and then he'll miss another 2 weeks after that. And it's just like a cycle. Like, I wish he could just for one season to play like 130 games. Like you can rest for 30, just play 130. But yeah, they have potential to win the division if they can stay healthy. But I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. So I got them being average, 81 and 81.
And I know last year with Byron, they made it to where he was not allowed to play more than 2 consecutive days in the outfield at a time. So if it became a third straight day, he'd have to either DH or sit.
Yeah.
And he still got hurt. So it's just an issue that they're going to have. And honestly, the big thing too is they have a couple of strikeout machines in that lineup, aka Joey Gallo. So it'll be difficult for them to win a lot of games.
Yep.
In Cleveland.
Last team. This is my division winner, obviously. I haven't said it yet. I got them going 90 and 72. I think that this is one of the more underrated lineups in the league. If you just look at names, like if you're a casual baseball fan in their lineup, you probably know Jose Ramirez and Josh Bell, and that's probably it. But Andres Jimenez broke out last year. He's a very good contact hitter. Ahmed Rosario, at the end of the year, was swinging the bat like prime Mike Trout. Stephen Kwan had a great rookie year. Miles Straw is a great defender in center field with speed if he can get on for other guys. Josh Naylor is the complete opposite of Miles Straw. He has power. It's just whether he'll hit it or not. So they have their lineup is dispersed among different types of hitters that works. And then Jose Ramirez is the catalyst of it all, who's going to drive everybody in and get 130, 140 RBIs because that he did that last year is insane. And then they have a great rotation. Shane Bieber, McKenzie, Cal Quantrill, Zach Plesac, Aaron Savall. That's really good, especially those first 3, Bieber, McKenzie, Cal Quantrill. I like that a lot. And then they have a top 3 closer, Emmanuel Clase. So this is all around a good team, and I think that they've continued to be slept on ever since Corey Kluber, ever since he left that Indians team with Lindor. Ever since those 2 people left, I think they've been kind of slept on as an underrated team. But I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to go 90 and 72, win the division.
Yeah, and I think even someone like Mike Zunino, he's solid as a catcher. He's a middle of the pack guy, and I mean
he's got pop.
There's a lot worse options. They have an opportunity to hit a lot of bombs
with a bunch of contact guys.
Zunino, yeah, and like you said, a lot of these bombs that they do hit are going to be with people on base. Miles Straw, probably their leadoff guy, on base machine. Andres Jimenez probably batting 2-3. And then you got Jose, you got Josh Bell. I mean, that's a solid 1-4.
Stephen Kwan had a great year last year, great rookie year.
And he's batting on the back half of the lineup more than likely. And with this pitching staff that's going to be able to pitch quality innings late into games, and if you can get it to James Karinchak and Emmanuel Clase, like most of the time, that game's going to be locked down. I think the only thing I'm worried about with Emmanuel Clase is just he does really only have 3 pitches. It's like 2-seam, 4-seam cutter.
Yeah, he throws fastball and cutter.
He just throws gas.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen it with guys like Chapman before, where the guys that do throw that gas have gotten roughed up. And this is his 3rd year, and I'm hoping that he continues to do well. But I think that is one concern that you could potentially have is how are hitters going to react to Emmanuel Clase, because last year it seemed like no one had a clue what to do. So
his pitches go 100 miles an hour or more, and he throws his fastball tails. He has a lot of tail on it, so it's going this way. And then he also throws a cutter at 100, which goes this way. That's his 2 pitches. Yeah. So as a hitter, you got to guess. It's going to look the same coming in at about right here, and then both of the pitches do this. They just tail in the opposite directions. You got to try to guess which way it's going to tail.
Absolutely. But with that, we have our AL Central predictors. We predicted the division now, and now we're going to do even more predicting, and we're going to predict the WBC, World Baseball Classic. We're going to predict all the games from Tuesday to Saturday, like I said earlier, starting with one game tomorrow. Hopefully this video will be up by tomorrow, so our predictions will be beforehand. So we have Cuba and the Netherlands. I'm gonna let me get a notepad up real quick, Kendall, so I can keep our picks.
Okay. I'm pulling up the rosters right now.
I'm going to go with Cuba, game 1.
Let's see. Cuba. Got Moncada, Cespedes, Luis Robert. Okay. Who do they play in the Netherlands?
The Netherlands.
They got Pedro Strop, Xander Bogaerts, DD Scope, Jerkson Profar. I'm going to go with the Netherlands. But I think that just by MLB names that I know, because I don't know any of these people that are actually from that country. They don't play in the MLB. But just by names, I'm going to go with Netherlands. And they got Kenley Jansen. I could see either team winning. They got about the same amount of MLB guys.
Okay. Moving on into Wednesday. This will be one of the first full days of games, pretty sure. Yep. So we got Panama versus Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, however you want to say it.
Oh, sorry.
So, just to know, there are no MLB guys for Chinese Taipei.
But people over there can still tend to hit the ball. Panama has no, but I'm going to go with Chinese Taipei.
I'm also going to go with Chinese Taipei.
We'll get the picks from everybody else tomorrow or tonight.
Yep.
And then we got Australia and Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Is that South Korea? Okay.
Yes, that's South Korea.
Australia, main guys are... Wow, I don't think I've seen any MLB guy that I know.
Wei Yin Kim from the Cardinals plays for China or Korea. Tommy Edvin plays for Korea. Yasung Kim plays for Korea. Plays for, I think, he's a big. The guy from the Twins plays
Yeah,
for Korea.
I'm going to go with South Korea by a mile here.
Yeah, I am as well.
I don't think that game will be close.
But
Panama plays 2 games?
I guess so.
So, Panama. Oh, the Netherlands play 2 games too, don't they? No, they don't.
Back-to-back days. I'm going with the Netherlands.
Yeah. Panama, that's the team with like nobody. The Netherlands, is that Scope? DDs. Yeah, I'm also going Netherlands here.
Okay, moving on into Thursday.
Here we go. Okay, I don't even have to look at the rosters. I'm going with Japan.
I'm also going with Japan.
I don't think that one's very hard.
Italy, Cuba.
Okay, I may have to look at that one. Italy. They got
Italy has
Vinny Pasqualino, Nicky
Matt
Lopez, Matt Harvey,
David Fletcher.
I'm going Cuba by a mile. Well,
Who's
maybe not
Cuba?
by a mile, but I'm going to go Cuba. Okay, so we got China versus CZE. Oh,
That'd be the Czech Republic.
Yeah. So China has the guys over there that can hit that we don't know. They have anybody.
I'm not going to look at the rosters.
No.
I'm going China.
I'm going China.
Sorry, Panama. I'm going with Cuba.
I'm also going Cuba.
Okay.
And then
moving on into Friday.
Okay.
We're Korea and Japan. I'm picking Japan.
I'm picking Japan.
Just to know, Japan's going to be one of the favorites of the tournament. They got arguably 4 guys that are going to potentially be top of the line people.
Yeah. I got Italy.
I'm going to take Italy in this game.
Who is that? Who are they playing?
That's Taiwan. Chinese Taipei.
Oh, okay. Give me Italy.
And then China versus Australia. I'm probably going to take China there.
I'm also taking China. And then
Panama versus Italy.
Give me Italy in that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm going Panama not winning a single pool play game.
Yeah, me neither.
Sorry, Panama. And
I don't
finally,
think.
Saturday. This is a big day. So
Big
Czech
day,
Republic,
yeah.
Japan. I'm going Japan.
Japan.
And then Netherlands and Taiwan. I'm going Netherlands.
Netherlands.
And then Nicaragua and Puerto Rico.
I'm going Puerto Rico.
I'm going Puerto Rico too.
Oh, dude, Dominican Republic and Venezuela play first game that they play. That's pretty cool. I'm looking ahead. Sorry, Mexico versus.
Yep. Mexico versus Colombia.
Going Mexico.
I'll look at those rosters real quick.
Okay.
So Colombia has Jose Quintana, Julio Teheran.
This is Mexico right here. Can you see my screen?
No.
You can't? Oh.
Like I can see the schedule, but I can't see rosters. That's what you're trying to show.
Oh.
Jorge Alfaro plays for Colombia. Dilson Herrera, Gio Urshela, Evan Mendoza. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mexico too, because even the Mexico national players are solid.
They got Urias, Jose Urquidy. Probably one of them will pitch. Randy Rosarena, Alec Thomas, Alex Verdugo, Luis Arias, Rowdy Tellez, Isaac Paredes, Joey Meneses, Taiwan Walker. Yeah, I'm going Mexico.
I'm just going to go DR this first game, but I think it will be a good one.
I think it'll be a good game, but I'm also going to go DR.
All right, USA over versus Great Britain, just like the wars.
America.
Just like Revolutionary War, we're going to kick your ass.
America.
Korea over Czech Republic.
Korea. And then Cuba.
I'm gonna take Taiwan just to separate us up because we've been on quite a similar streak here for a minute.
And we doing Sunday?
But we'll stop here. Sunday.
Okay.
We go from Sunday on the next episode. And with that being said, that's the episode, Kendall. Well, getting out in under an hour's time. Quick little episode for us, Skeleton Crew, the OG boys, the original Hydro, and the Co. So,
the founders.
Kendall, it's been fun. Hopefully our predictions go right. We get a lot of these because if they don't, we're both fucked because we agreed on like all but 2 games. So
they're all going to come true. If you just want a spoiler for the WBC, just listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Spoiler for WBC, Japan's going to win it all. My prediction has shifted heavily in the last 2 weeks because I had the
DR's dropping like flies. Japan is Japan, and they have an easy.
They haven't lost anybody.
Yeah.
Because really think about it, for a lot of the teams like Japan and China, those national guys that are playing at the WBC that play in Japan normally, like this is their pinnacle.
This is what they play for.
Like, I got shoulder soreness. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna play.
I could play with Shohei Ohtani in the World Baseball Classic.
And for the MLB guys, it's a lot different because there's a lot more on the line than just the WBC. Yeah. So I understand guys like Clayton and Vladdy, guys that are focusing on the health, especially with the season right around the corner. Like you would want them to prioritize that, but it only helps out teams. That's what's great about the WBC is it was so one-sided going into it on paper, and as it's gotten closer, it's starting to get more and more even. We still haven't even played a game of baseball yet.
Yeah. If the DR wouldn't have lost any of their rotation guys, like if they still had Sandy, Framber, Christian Javier, Luis Castillo, I don't think they were losing.
Is Sandy not pitching either?
He is. They lost Framber, Javier, Castillo. That's 3 big blows.
Studs.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is the end of the episode. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel with everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode coming at the end of the week.
Go O's.
Go Yankees.
Be prepared for the Saints to go to the Super Bowl next year.
Go Who dat?
Raider Nation.